and I'm going to show you now into a business unit how those projects are being managed. So here, for example, I have a vision that is now not anymore at company level, but I have a vision that is now at a business unit level. Okay, and what I can see here, well, I can see the different projects based upon their status: initiating, planning, execution. This is our project management life cycle. Okay, so what I can do here is a few things. First, this is here what we call the executive view, okay, for people that needs to overlook a lot of projects. The chief executive can do it as well in the same way that I'm going to show you at company level with exactly the same feature, okay? And here I'm showing you the role that is, for example, the business unit director, or the responsible for this business unit. So you can see how many projects I've got in different status, okay? And you can see, for example, now, okay, how many do I have in execution? Well, I just add the filter, and it tells me you got 88 right now currently being executed. Okay, but maybe I want to know a little bit more detail on those things. So I can do what we call advanced filtering. In each project, we are establishing different attributes, okay? And we can be filtering by these different attributes, okay? Every label is configurable. Anything that you can see in the dropdown is configurable, okay? So we can really adapt our filters, our vocabulary, our structure to our company's structure into Talaia. So for example here, then let's go and say, okay, show me all the project and execution belonging to a specific program. I just apply the filter and it will show me those 16 projects, okay? So here, what kind of information do I get, okay? I insist on that the information that I have here, you know, it's what we call tactical management. So we need information that is very executive. I don't want to have too much detail, because maybe in my business unit, I've got tens, hundreds of projects currently being executed. So I don't have the capability and I don't have time to get too much information. So here what we have is what we call executive information. So what do I see here? Well, I see information in a list mode, right? Here are the 16 projects that currently you want to review. Okay, so what is their general status? How are they going now? Well, this is what you see here with this bubble. And it's going to be very simple. It's going to be a red and a green, okay? It's green, everything is all right. We've got a yellow, well, there's some problems. And we got a red, well, project is definitely not going fine. Okay, we can see project name, project short name. We can see who's the project manager that is managing that project. I can see what is the budget of that project. If I have people working in that project and reporting hours using the timesheet, then I can see how many hours have already been reported into that project and validated. We got a validation process. I can see what is the overall percentage of completion of my project. I can see as well the comparison between my baseline start and actual baseline, start and finish, and actual baseline start and finish. I can see what is my actual cost onto that project. And I can see, for example, what is my return on investment and for which customer is that project meant to, okay? Coming back to the color code, which is nice. Okay, I've got a color code here, which is good, fine, but it doesn't give me too much information, all right? No problem. Here we got what we call the status report. Okay, the status report is filled by each project manager with different frequencies. We can define frequency by project, weekly, by monthly, etc., depending on the level and frequency of information we want to get from our project manager. The idea here is that, of course, we come back to this general status here, color code that we have here, but the project manager gives us a little bit more information about as well, what about risk? What about schedule? What about cost? What about issues? Okay, with the same color code method, but as well the ability to explain and tell us why this color code. Okay, the idea is that, okay, we give a 1 or 2 line, all right, per status type, so we can tell our management what is going on. Okay, still with the executive vision. So we get that for all the different projects. What we see here is the latest report. Okay, when we jump into the project, we'll have the ability to see, okay, all the historical of our status report. Okay, more information in the executive view. Well, we can see all the different risks. Okay, what are the risks that are currently managed in each project by the different project manager? Obviously, in Talaia, we can add milestone. And what is interesting at management level is that we are able to do milestone management. I've got a bunch of projects, all those 16 here. Okay, maybe I'm interested, as a responsible of need, says, okay, in the coming 2 weeks or in the coming months, okay, so in that date gap, do I have some invoicing milestone that should be taken place? Well, let's see. Well, the tool says, yes, you have two, okay, those one and those one. This is when they were supposed to be happening. This is what our project manager tells, well, now this is the date that I believe they will be happening. And if they were materialized, then this is the actual date where that milestone has been materialized. So it's already finalized, okay? So we can do what we call milestone management. Milestone types and category, once again, configurable. So you can define any type of milestones you want in order to do that milestone management. And last information, last important panel here at that level is going to be, okay, we have the baseline, start and finish, plan and actual. Okay, but into this list, it's very difficult to actually see clearly what is going on. All right, no problem for that. We've got what we call the schedule chart. So now we get a very visual way of actually seeing when that project was planned and when that project is actually being executed. And if I've got a difference in between the timeline, then I'm able to see it like this. Okay, this is when it was supposed to be planned, and this is when it actually is being executed. So we see this project is being started as we planned, but right now the project manager tells me that, okay, there's going to be a delay, okay, into that project, and that project is currently being 50% complete. Okay, so I can see very easily and very visually, okay, any gap that and any problem into the timeline onto the schedule of this project. Obviously, all this information is coming from every single project management from the different project manager. So let's jump one step down and see on a single project what information can be managed. In Talaia, and respecting once again the standard, then we've been divided the information into what we call group of process, and those group of process are defined into those different tabs. Okay, tabs are available based upon the status of the project. Okay, right now I'm in execution, so all the tabs are currently available to be updated and managed. Okay, so we're gonna start right now by in a chronological order. As the project is being created, then we come to a shared tab between the people that are requiring the project and the project manager. Okay, here the idea is that we share information about what is this project about. Okay, so we are able to fill what we call project data. Okay, there are a lot of fields, and 90% of them are actually optional. We understand that depending on the complexity, depending on the type of project, then you don't always need to fill the same amount of information. So there are projects we may fill 2 to 3 fields, and there are other projects we may fill way more information because we need more detail on what is going on. Okay, so that's the flexibility of Talaia. You can really work the way you want into the tool without having being forced to do things in order to do to manage the project. So project data. We are able as well to define what we call stakeholder. All right, stakeholder is one of the roles we have in Talaia. So we can say, okay, this person in the organization that has access to the tool, all right, is interested into that project. He has an interest, and I want him to be able to see what is going into this project. So by granting him access and adding him as a stakeholder, then this person will be able to get into Talaia and see what is going on into this project. What I'm able to do as well is work on a project charter. Before we start a project, then we need to define what is the project about and define our project charter. If you have a specific document and you don't want to use those fields of Talaia, no problem. Okay, you can just come here and add a document. Okay, as I mentioned, we are not a document management system, but yes, we've got a natural integration with document management system. Okay, whether it's going to be SharePoint, whether it's going to be something very simple like a Dropbox or a Google Drive, all right, those system allows you to paste the link. Okay, I don't have any document management system and I don't want to invest in one, no problem. Okay, you can simply just add the document straight into Talaia like this, no problem at all. Okay, so we've got that. Now, if you want to say, no, I don't have a specific document and it would be nice to have something, generated by the tool, yes, come to the project charter, fill the different fields, and then generate your own project charter like this. Okay, so you just click on the button and it's just generating you a default project charter. That project charter can be personalized. Okay, we've got some customers, they've got just a one-page document, very simple, and we've got others, they've got like an 8-page document because there is something very specific for them. Okay, and we can use that project charter to have a sign-off, etc., etc. Okay. Once you've got this done, then you can go to the plan tab. Okay, this is where we're gonna do some detailed planning of our project. Okay, what the project is supposed to be going. So we can define first of all the project scope by defining the work breakdown structure. We're able to define as well the different deliverables of our project associated to our different project activities. And we get as a result this kind of work breakdown structure defining our project scope. Then what we can do is planning our project. So we're able to plan the different activities, when they are supposed to start, when they're supposed to be finishing. We're able to define as well, as for the deliverables, milestones. All right, select the category, the type that will allow us to do milestone management. Do we want that milestone to be showing on the high level schedule chart, or should it be remaining at project level? When is it due? And this is giving us our schedule chart with our project baseline and our different activity baseline. Okay, project baseline, start and finish as a result of the planning of the different project activities. If we want, then we can move to project plan cost. Okay, we've got three panels there. First, the funding. All right, if we are having a project that is being sold to a customer, then we've got a payment schedule with our customer. This is where we can add our payment schedule. We have plan value. If we want to know what is the performance of our project, then we can use the standard of plan value, being able to define follow-up date, values, and our plan value chart like this. I'll show you later on the on value into the control tab. And then we finally are able to define our cost detail plan. What are different expenses, direct cost, reserve of our project, and what is today our direct margin objective on that project. That's on the planning cost. Obviously, we'll need to have people working into the project, so we are able to define and work with the human resources. Okay, for this, our project manager is just overlooking about resources available into the organization. So he's able to choose from job categories, skills, performing organization, or even resource pool. Okay, we'll launch the request, and what we'll be able to do is that for everybody we want to have into our project here, we are able to define what is going to be his workload, the number of hours or the hours per day that he's supposed to be working into that activity. Okay, and I can see if that person is already assigned to another project or no, and I can see as well, maybe it's in the other here. Okay. I can see that person has already holidays or any what we call operation, all right, being validated in our time frame. All right, operation being not project hours, which are the resource capacity planning, but like holidays, sickness, training, any other activity that our resources in our organization are actually doing, but are not project related. All right, but at the end, that's defining their availability. Okay, so when we got that, two ways, whether we just validate that assignment or whether we launch a request to what we call the resource manager, which is in charge and having the responsibility of his resource, and the resource manager will see the overall resource capacity of his pool and will be able to say yes, no, or give a different person instead. Okay, so we have the ability to do that. Once we've got this completed, then we'll see in that table all the people that are assigned to my project, the overall number of hours that they are supposed to be performing into my project. If I'm using difference between cost and selling price, okay, then I have the difference between cost and selling price. As a result, well, what I'll see is my project resource capacity planning on a weekly basis. And I'll see as well what we call the operating breakdown structure. Who is being assigned to what activity in a very visual way. Later on, I can add project calendars and I get my team calendar. Once planning is done, and at the same time, I can manage risks throughout the project. So defining risk and see how they are evolving. The lower the risk rating is, the more control is the risk. The higher is the risk rating, the more uncontrolled is my risk. All right. And the risk rating is the result of the probability and impact. Okay. If the probability is minor and the impact is low, then my risk rating is going to be low. If the probability is very high and the impact is going to be very high, then my risk rating is going to be very high as well. Okay, so there's a lot of risk when I've got risk rating that are high. Then I can manage issues. Okay, issues that are happening into my project. All right, I have the ability to say who's the owner of that issue, who's the person that I'm assigning to in order to resolve and work on that issue, what issue it is, and what resolution do we want to give with the different dates. And as well, I've got the ability to document assumption, all right? Defining what assumptions are into my project, and if the assumption is changing throughout the project, then I've got change log on the assumption as well. If into my project, and I'm gonna come back to control, I've got providers, all right? People I'm subcontracting work to, then I'll be able to document that part as well, all right? First of all, I'll be able to document, okay, what provider am I subcontracting to? Which part of the project am I subcontracting to? What work schedule agreement do I get with my provider? Plan start, plan finish, actual start, actual finish. And obviously I'll be able to define and follow up on the payment schedule. What were the different payments that we agreed to work with that customer? Okay, that's my provider. That's the activity that I'm subcontracting. When am I supposed to pay? If the agreement was based on a number of hours, how many hours were included into that agreement, and what is going to be the amount of money, all right, that I'm going to pay. And finally, I'm able to document when did I actually pay that invoice, how many hours were involved, and what is the actual payment. Okay, so we've got every single payment here, and then we've got all the payments grouped by providers. Okay. Finally, we'll go to control. Okay, once I'm in initiation, then planning phase, now I'm moving to execution. Okay, so what I'm gonna have here is that all the planning that I've got here is gonna go to control, and I'm gonna be able to then say what is going on. So I'll find all the activities and project breakdown here. And as a project manager, I'll be able to say what is the overall percentage of completion of that activity at that point of time. I'll be able to see how many hours have been executed so far into that activity, and I'll be able to see how many hours and who was supposed to be involved into that project as I planned it. Okay, if I've got as well procurement that is involved, okay, I'll see what is my procurement progress here into that window. So by doing this, I'll get my percentage of completion per activity, and I get my ponderated and weighted percentage of completion of my project. Then I'll be able to say what is going on from deliverables. Today, what is the percentage of completion of my deliverables? Due date, estimated date, and actual date of that deliverable. And as a result of everything like this, then I get my WBS updating with the different percentage of completion of the different activities and at project overall. Then we will be reporting on control, scheduling. I find back my plan start and finish, and I'll be able to update my actual start and actual finish for my activity. I'll be able to say as well, okay, what about my milestone? These were the due date, what is the estimated date, and finally, what was the actual date of the materialization and completion of my milestone. As a result, I'll get my schedule chart, now comparing, okay, the different activity baseline. The gray, as usual, is the plan, and the blue is the actual. So I can see my comparison at baseline level, at project, and at activity level. As well, I'll be able to compare my milestone, the way they were planned and the way they actually materialized. Then I can update my control cost. What about the funding? Did I get paid on time or not? Okay, so I can see there is some delay there. If I'm using the earned value management as well standard, then I'll be able to have that table that shows me what is my CPI, SPI, cost variance, schedule variance, etc., and a few graphs to illustrate that table, especially this one where I can see the plan value, the value that I've been executed so far, and the cost to execute that value. Okay, so for example, that project is not really performing. Okay. Then I can move and update my cost detail control. So I can have my different expenses. I get my plan and actual, same for direct cost and reserve, and I can see what is my current project margin. On human resources, then I can add, remove resources like we did in plan. So same feature here, I'm not gonna come back. And then on resource capacity running, so I can compare when were people supposed to be working on a weekly basis and how many hours, and how many hours have been there performing, okay, and comparing if they've been working more or less hours on that week as they were supposed to do. Then I'm going to be able to fill my status reports. So picking up a date for my status report, adding a color, and defining what is the description of that color and giving that information to management. As I said, in the high-level view, we see only the latest. And then here we see all the historical as well. So I can see all the historical status reports. I get like a very simple panel, which we call a logbook. So here the idea is that the project manager, things are happening in his project. He goes to meetings, to meetings, and there is a meeting summary, things that are going on. There's decision being taken. He's able to actually use Talaia to document all this and keep all that valuable information close to the project. If project goes under some certain changing throughout it being executed, then we've got a way to be able to actually document what is going on at change management. Change type, description, solution, who is actually requiring this change, what impact does it have into my project, and finally, do I say yes or no to that change? If I need to have a further validation to that, then I can generate documentation about that change, all right? And maybe I need someone to have a sign off on that specific change. Okay, so I can get that document and I can get a sign off and keep it into my project, into the document here. And finally, when I'm done with all this, then I can actually go to closure. Okay, so into the closure, I can add my closure report, project result. If the project being canceled, I can say when and why, and I've got a closing checklist. Okay, things that I need to do before actually closing to closure. Okay. Finally, very quickly, I'll go to dashboards. So these are the dashboards you can have in Talaia. Dashboards are 100% customizable, so we can create the dashboard you want with the graphs you want as you need them. If you're actually having a business intelligence tool, as I mentioned into my presentation with the pieces of the puzzle, you can just plug in your Power BI, your ClickView, your MicroStrategy, Cognos, whatever you have directly into the Talaia database, pull out the information and create your own dashboard. But by default, we've got some nice stuff into Talaia as well. And then as well, in the same way, you've got some reports that looks a little bit like this with different filters. Once again, reports can be completely customized with your own specific reports that you can actually generate and run anytime you want into the tool. Okay, so that will give you some information in kind of a list mode like this. Okay, for the different project, who's been working, how many hours, total, subtotals, etc., etc. Okay, and yeah, I'm just gonna jump very quickly into the view, and I'm gonna close there, of what we call a team member. So for people that are interested in timesheets, when people get assigned to the project, all right, then they can enter into Talaia as what we call a team member. All right, so they get a very specific view here. So they can see, first of all their assignments, okay, just filtering by a date range, and they can see which project they've been working into, okay. They can see their capacity planning, like this, and they can see the result of their timesheet they've been submitted from one month to another. So how many hours they've been working in different projects. And they can do that through their, what we call their timesheet, okay. So as a timesheet here, then you get here assignments on the different project activities, the plan one, and you're able to report the actuals. Actually, I've worked 6 hours here, 3 there, 2 there, and then you can just save them like this, and then you can do validation, all right? There's up to 3 validation level, team member, project manager, and then functional manager or project manager can do that, okay? So being hours reporting and validated. As well, here, this is where they can introduce their operation timesheet, you know, training, holidays, sickness, whatever operation you have. This is fully configurable, all right? You can add any operation you want for your company, okay? Well, that's about all that I wanted to show you right now into that webinar. I've been extending a little bit like the time. So yes, I'll stop here from my side, and then we can open up the round of questions. So there you go. Thank you for your attention.